So far in the Customize module of this training course, we've looked at two types of customization. Expanding the dataset, that's the custom definitions, which is adding custom dimensions and custom metrics to include different and additional data into your reports. Then we looked at, in the last video, how to customize the overview reports. So in this video, we're going to pick up from where we left off and talk about how we can customize the detail reports. We can customize any detail report in Google Analytics 4's Reports workspace. And to do so, whenever we're in a detail report, if we have admin access rights in Google Analytics 4, we should see this pencil icon, the Customize icon in the top right-hand corner of the screen. By clicking that, this opens this report into an edit mode where we have a right-hand panel with all the configurations options, and we have like a real-time update in the center. Starting at the top of the report, we can customize the charts. We can actually add up to 2 charts in each detail report. So we've already got 2 charts here, but we don't have to have 2. We can actually remove them if we want to. So using these icons here, I can remove each chart individually, or I can remove them both and just have the data table. If I do want to include the charts, I've actually got the choice of 3 different types: bar charts, line charts, and scatter charts. And I can use this icon here and just click through, and I can change each chart individually to a different type if I would like. Whatever I choose, it'll update in real time, and I can see what that looks like in the middle of the screen. Going down the page, when we look at the data table, the first thing that we have the opportunity of changing is the dimensions. And so in that right-hand panel, if I click through and edit the dimensions, you'll see that this is the list in the drop-down menu of that primary dimension. And so in this list, I can do a couple of things. I can first of all reorder them. I can also remove items from this list. And the last thing is I can add additional items to this list. For example, if I click add a new dimension, I'm not actually just limited to the report that I'm in. For example, I'm in the traffic acquisition report, but I can go in and add any dimension I'd like, including custom dimensions. But let's go find one, let's say, for example, country, and add that into the list. Once I'm happy, I click apply, and what that does is that updates that real-time view in the middle of the screen. It does not save the report, it just updates the view we're looking at. And now when I use that primary dimension dropdown, you'll see that country is added into this list. Going back into that dimension list though, the last thing I can do in here is use those 3 dots and change the primary dimension. And so this is whenever someone opens this report, it will be the same amount of options in the list, but what's the starting point? What's the primary one that's defaulted to? For example, it's defaulted at the moment to the session default channel group, but if I'd rather that be the session medium, then I can change that here. That's the dimensions, but now let's look at the metrics. And actually updating the metrics is the primary reason of why we would edit a detail report. There's a lot of data available in Google Analytics, but Google only surfaces a handful of metrics per report. Going into the metrics menu, we can actually do a couple of things. The first thing we can do is reorder the table. So we can move these metrics from left to right and right to left. We can also remove metrics if we don't want to see them in the reports. And of course, we can add new metrics in. Now, when I click add a new metric, it opens up this list and there is an awful lot of metrics available. So what I'll do is I'll link off to some documentation that provide a list of all of the dimensions and metrics that are available to be used in Google Analytics 4. Luckily, we can use this as a search box as well. So if we know what we're after, for example, if I'm after bounce rate, I can search for that term, click it, and add it into my report. The last 2 things to mention on here is that we can include filters. So adding in a filter is exactly the same process as adding in a filter in the report outside of the edit screen. And the last thing is the summary cards. And these are just creating cards that can be used in overview reports. He's just mentioned the summary cards, but he hasn't gone into any detail around how they can be used. These summary cards are really interesting in how we can tie the detail reports to the overview reports. Check out the link in the description for a deep dive on how to use these summary cards and how they all work. Once we're happy that we've got the report to a place where we want it to be saved, we can click the Save button. Now, just like in the overview reports, we have 2 options. We can click Save and overwrite this report, or we can click Save As and create a copy of this report. We will come back in the next video to using those copy reports, but for now, let's click Save and overwrite our existing report. Now, when we exit this edit screen and go into the report, you can see it's reflected and saved the changes that we've made. Just to reiterate again, this is affecting everyone's version of Google Analytics. We're changing a report within Google Analytics 4, not just for my personal view, but for everyone that has access to GA4. This is a really useful feature in Google Analytics. So I'll hand over to Darren now to give us an idea of how we can use this in practice and some of the benefits and use cases.
In GA4, you can edit and customize any of the detail reports to suit your own needs. A really common example of why you'd want to do this is if you don't track revenue on your website or app. Rather than having to see a column with zeros in it every time you go in and look at that particular report, you can edit it and actually remove that metric entirely, meaning that the data you see is relevant to you and your business only.
Great, thanks Darren. And as you can see, a really useful way to make this more relevant for you whenever you log into Google Analytics 4, but not just for you, for everyone else in your organization too. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.